right. Welcome to my talk. Friday morning, last day of the con. Everyone's probably kind of tired and everything, and home stretch. We're almost to closing ceremony, so appreciate you for coming. So I'm Colin Jackson. I go by Didymus. It's a dorky handle, but I picked it, so there you go. And we're going to be talking about OSINT. Call this Adventures in OSINT. We're just going to dip our toe into this. I'm not going to talk about all the tools. I'm not going to talk about all the different techniques or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of give you a taste, because I truly think everyone should learn OSINT, because it's really cool. I think it's a useful skill regardless of what field you're in. Security, non-security, not even if you're not in tech, I think it's a great skill. So let's talk about this. So I always like to put up an agenda, so you know where we're going with this, and if you're watching the recording, you're like, okay, I can fast forward past this or whatever. So yeah, I thought of Adventures in OSINT because I wanted to tell a couple stories that I've had where I used OSINT for good, and that's going to be kind of a theme, like use OSINT, but make sure you're using it for good reasons. And we're going to talk about ethics and like not doxing and everything. Oh man, people just got tired. I just said ethics, and everyone was like, I'm sorry. Hopefully this is a little fun. Hopefully this is a little engaging. It's not going to get super technical, but yeah. Also, has anyone ever seen this movie, Adventures in Babysitting? I watched it. I had a huge crush on Elizabeth Shue when I was a little kid, so yeah, that's why that's there. So, okay. Man, this talk's going off the rails fast. All right, Colin Jackson. I'm a senior security engineer. I've been doing security, security in my title for like 10 years. I argue I've been doing it a bit longer than that, but mostly incident response. I'm a SIM guy, do a lot of stuff. Splunk's kind of my main SIM, a lot of blue team. I'm a Pluralsight author, so if any of you are Pluralsight subscribers, watch my course. Okay, shameless. Lockpicking was what got me into security originally. I got into it when I was in college. I thought it was really cool. And then from there, they're like, physical security is this one little part of the whole vast information cybersecurity thing. You should do that, because this internet thing's going to take off. Okay, I'm not that old, but, internet's going to take off. I like OSINT. I like to do obstacle races. I box. Boxing is kind of fun. It's a good stress reliever for me. Family, stuff like that. Also, I use memes a lot as a defense mechanism and also to help combat my imposter syndrome. So you're in luck. We're going to have memes throughout this. Also, this is the most important part. I'm not a lawyer, and I give horrible advice. So, you've been warned. All right. So, let's start out with what is OSINT. A really fun definition, pretty basic. It's publicly available information that you can get from the internet or other places. And OSINT is essentially a digital footprint left behind from someone's online activity, presence, things like that. This information is open and readily available. Readily available. Usually you can get it without an account. Sometimes you can get it with sign up for a free account or a burner account, and then you get access to the information. Kind of good. So a more accurate definition, open source intelligence is like SIGINT, but for nerds on the internet who don't know what SIGINT means. Most OSINT analysts, including myself, not me, I'm quoting, live on a diet of pizza and censored. Also, I got this from Urban Dictionary. So both of those definitions were from Urban Dictionary. So there you go. I was teaching OSINT one time internally at kind of like a lunch and learn thing within my company. And one of my coworkers' friends, she said, okay, so that's open source intelligence. What's closed source intelligence? I'm like, oh, that's easy. Theft, corporate espionage, anything marked internal, do not share, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's closed source intelligence. That's illegal. Don't do it. Whatever. So occasionally they're like, well, what's closed source? There you go. Okay, here's the ethics slide. So OSINT is not doxing. You can use OSINT to dox people, but doxing is where you leak personal information about someone just to be a jerk, just to be a big dirtbag kind of a thing. And the whole intent is like, hey, this is where this person lives. This is their home address. This is, let's go, it can be pretty bad. They get bullied. They can get swatted. Does everyone know what swatted is? It's where you call in a fake SWAT 911 and they go and like attack the house thinking it's a SWAT situation. It's really dirtbaggy. So, doxing, don't do it. It's bad and it's stupid. Okay, but why OSINT? Why should I learn OSINT? What, So, let's talk a bit about that. So, like I was saying earlier, OSINT is open source information. A lot of it is free on, you can find it if you know where to look on the internet. And some, people search websites or things like that. It's like, hey, sign up for a free account, and you can search and get access to some of the data, or a limited section of the data, or you can do X number of searches per week or month or something. Sign up for a free account with a burner email. There you go. I argue that it's very useful for red teamers. So you listen to the keynote with Jason Street, where he talks about doing some OSINT, doing some reconnaissance, learning more about my company, my target, where is their company located, what information is out on the internet, that kind of stuff. So red teamers use OSINT all the time. I argue that blue teamers can use it too, because if someone's going to attack your company, your organization, they're going to be doing OSINT. They're going to be looking at what's publicly available. As a blue teamer, as a defender, I want to know what they're going to be looking at. So I need to know the skills. You can argue this with every red team skill, but blue teamers need to have these skills too, because they need to know how they're going to be attacked so that they can defend it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Private investigators, privacy enthusiasts. If you're a privacy-conscious person and you don't want information about you, you can find it, and there's even ways you can opt out. I'm going to cover that a little bit as well, so there you go. Legal and compliance types. Press. Some people who work in the press, if they know OSINT skills, like how they can find out information or things like that, or, OSINT is, everyone should know OSINT. Okay, have I beat the dead horse? Because there's 2 more bullets, and I'm going to keep going. Anyway. Okay. You'll be more effective at Google dorking. We'll be talking about that if you don't know what Google dorking is. Finding people, protecting yourselves and loved ones. And this is my favorite one. You can actually save lives through OSINT. And I'm not kidding. You really can. And I'm going to talk about that. Cool experience we got to do at DEF CON this year. So OSINT tools, these are categories. These aren't all the categories. These are just some that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about some of the tools. But like I said, we're just dipping our toe in this. We're just whetting your appetites for OSINT. So big one is people search websites. There's tons of them out there. They're data brokers. Anytime you signed up for, when you sign up for a service, it's like, hey, here's the terms and conditions and blah, 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 and you search, and you're like, can share information with third parties? Yeah, these are the third parties that buy that data and anonymize it by changing your name to a GUID, and then, then they can build a profile. Think of the Cambridge Analytica hack that happened a few years ago, and that kind of stuff. You could look that up. You should duck it. Sorry, DuckDuckGo it. I don't say Google it. You should duck it. Social media. There's a lot of stuff on social media. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't have much social media. I have a Twitter, and I have LinkedIn, and then I have burner accounts that I use for OSINT reasons, not even tied to me. Yeah. Company information. This you can get information like leadership, filing papers. If they're a publicly traded company, a lot of that information is publicly available. There's things like Zoom Info and Dun & Bradstreet and these business directories. So if you're in sales and you want to know more about a company you're trying to sell to, you can do that. Vulnerabilities or technologies used. So this is kind of more on the red team or reconnaissance phase, but there's companies, there's websites that can scan IPs and scan companies and build up a little profile on it. So things like BitSite, Security Scorecard, Risk Recon, and it's like, hey, we're going to publicly shame these people. Look at their horrible security credit score. And then you're trying to sell a product and you're like, hey, we looked you up on this security credit score and you guys have a B. That's kind of embarrassing, and it's kind of like they blackmail you. I don't like those. Has anyone experienced that with those kind of? Yeah, you did. Okay. OSINT Framework. I love this one because it's got so much stuff on it. OSINTframework.com. It looks just like this. And as you click on each of these, it'll actually expand. And there is a ton. I realize this is really small. I only expanded a few things, but it kind of goes on basic categories, possible subcategories, and then it links out to the sites. It's pretty well maintained. It's free. It's open. Some of the links are broken now, or sometimes when they realize people can use this free service, they might throw up a paywall or a login window kind of thing. But OSINT Framework, it's really fun. It's got lots of stuff. Okay, So this is some of the things that I'm going to cover today. Again, this is not going to be a workshop. You could spend a whole week learning on OSINT and just barely scratch the surface. We're going to talk about people search and social media, so actual people, kind of focused OSINT. We're going to talk about company OSINT, getting information about companies, things you can do with like photo and video, that kind of media, and then some automated tools for script kiddies like me. So let's see. So let's start with people search websites. Let's just, what are some people search websites? Just shout them out that you guys know of. Spokio. Yeah, Spokio, that's a good one. People, P-I-P-L. Family Tree Now is a good one. Intellius, I might have spelled that wrong. There's also public records, state records, voting records, different things like that. These can all be used together to build a profile and research and look up on people. Real estate records, tax records, all that fun, creepy stuff that some of it we have to submit stuff to if we buy a house or things like that. There's ways around that. I'll mention that later. Okay, social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. There's a lot of those, and a lot of people overshare. A lot of people, they're on vacations, like, having a great time at my vacation. Is like, oh, cool, you live in Provo. Anyone can see this because you didn't lock down your profile. Anyone can view it. Wonder if your house is going to get robbed. That's cool. Things like that. Think about, don't overshare. It's bad. And then also username searches. So this is a kind of a close-up of OSINT framework just on the username. There's a bunch of different places where you can actually search usernames, because sometimes if you just have a username, it's like, can I do some research, see if I can find what email or email addresses that's tied to, and then get a person's name that way. Sometimes when they do like police investigations and they're like, hey, this username is cyberbullying, harassing this person, they'll launch investigative things. We're like, hey, we have a username to go off of. Let's track this down, see if we can tie it to a person, get an IP, look up that IP or file a warrant, find out who's connected, that kind of stuff. So there's things like that. So here I am doxing myself, so I just searched up Didymus, and there's a couple things there. Let me just expand that a little because I can't see it. So yeah, I'm on Keybase. I must have signed up on Medium one time to actually read Medium. And my HackerOne account, cool, that's there. I get that. And then there's some that are like this. It's like, hey, just throw in a username, and we're going to just do a quick check. And this must be API calls where it's like, hey, I want to create a new account. It's like, oh, that one's taken. Return yes, no, kind of a thing. And yeah, there's my Twitter. There's some that I don't have, like Didymus.org. That's not me. I don't have that. Foursquare, definitely not me. But it's kind of interesting how you can sort of do that. I don't use that name on Reddit. That's not me, but creepy, right? It's kind of good to kind of look up yourself, see what kind of stuff is out there. All right, two really good sites. Again, there are several, but there's two very good ones that are open source, or that are open. Shodan, you can like search just about anything, like IP address, domains. You can look up, like, there are things constantly scanning. So look up like company.com, your company, and it's like, hey, it was scanned at this time. Here are the ports that were open. Here's the protocols we detected. Here's the IP location, geolocations where they were coming from, or what cloud provider they're using and stuff. Shodan's really interesting, and you can find all sorts of stuff. You can find open webcams. You can find, like, I don't know, gobs and gobs of stuff, really. Maltego is a similar one. I'm not going to demo either of these, but Maltego, I think you just have to sign up, and you can basically take an IP address, a domain, a something, and it'll kind of do like this little spidering thing, seeing all the other things it's connected to. It's like, hey, it's hosted here. Here's other websites that are hosted here. So if you're doing like company recon, it's like, oh, so here's company.com, but here's a bunch of other domains that are also owned by company.com. You can spider. It's kind of like, it's like a web. You can start really building out a big information about all those things. Shodan, you can do a handful of free searches, I think. You can also sign up for an account. On Black Friday, they have lifetime memberships. It's like $5 for a lifetime membership, and I think you can do like 1,000 searches a day, API calls a day. So relatively inexpensive, kind of fun. Okay. Corporate recon. So I mentioned Google hacking, Google dorking. It's not really hacking. You're using Google key phrases to return very specific results. And there's a bunch of information out there. Just look up Google hacking, Google dorking, cheat sheets. I put 2 there. And basically, you can use that to narrow down your search results. Again, I only use Google when I'm actually Google dorking. But there are a couple of ones that I use quite a bit. Cite, so cite, colon, and then no space, you type in the domain. It'll only return search results of that domain. Similar with in URL, so if you know there's like a certain phrase or like an ID number or something, you're like, hey, show me everywhere this shows up in a URL, and it will only return those search results. There's a bunch of different keywords, but these are some of the ones that I use often. File type, this is a cool one. So you can do file type, colon, PDF, and it'll only return PDFs, or XLS, or anything like that. So they will only show links that link to actual files that are publicly available on the internet. Related is a fun one. So this isn't so much OSINT, this is just fun to do. So let's say you find a really cool website and you like it a lot, like, I don't know, SAINTCON, saintcon.org. And it's like, I want to see other websites that are similar to that, or like even like competitors or whatever. You can do related colon, saintcon.org or whatever, and it'll return other like related like things like DEF CON, TorCon, formerly DerbyCon stuff. I don't know. So the related field is kind of fun. So yeah, site URL. Dash site URL, or maybe it's just dash domain name. It's like, hey, let's say I'm doing reconnaissance on company.com, but I don't want to get results from company.com. I can do dash company.com and then type in company.com. So it's like, hey, show me what everyone else is saying. I don't want to see their website. I want to see websites that link to that, or websites that reference it, refer links, things like that. This is something I used to use back in college. It still works, but index of Apache web servers, if you don't properly protect your directory pages, you can type in index of, and then band, group, audiobook, whatever, MP3, and then exclude ASP, PHP, HTML, and you'll find like basically file servers with stuff. So let's say your favorite band is Nickelback. Yes, great example. So index of Nickelback, MP3, and then dash this, exclude these, and it'll list all of these index of pages where the actual file is stored on the Apache servers with Nickelback MP3s. This is like poor man's Napster. I don't know. Don't do this. Don't steal things. But, whatever. Anyway, that's something back in the day. Statute of limitations. I stopped. I deleted it all. Okay. Max, gosh. So 2 cheat sheets. I think those URLs still work. If not, you can just Google that. And then I'd encourage all of you, if you work for a company or organization, look up and see what kind of stuff is already out there that maybe shouldn't be out there and report it internally or get it down. Like, so my company, show me all the PDFs. If the word confidential or internal's in it, and I can find it on Google, hackers can find it. Or like, go look for like file type, I don't know, XLSX, salary information. See if you can find someone who like exported like, a spreadsheet full of salary information. I don't know. So this is the kind of stuff the blue teamers should do. This is what hackers are going to do. You should do it too, and then take it off. And then you can also submit to like Google or whatnot and say, hey, remove these results. We don't want them. You can do that kind of stuff. Is this useful? We're going to do a quick pulse check. Is this information that, yay, I got thumbs. Cool, thanks. Corporate recon. Okay, a few other things. The Wayback Machine. This is the Internet Archive, web.archive.org. So this is great if you want to see what websites used to look like. This basically scans the internet and takes snapshots of websites. So like, if website suddenly goes down, you're like, oh no, that had a link to something, or what happened to this company? You can go back in time and see what the website used to look like. And a lot of times the links will work if they indexed the page that it was linking to. So that's kind of fun. So here's SAINTCON back in, let's see, September 2013. So remember when we sold out with 1,500 seats? Look at that. Back then, it was only 300 seats available. This is up at Weber. But isn't that crazy? So you can go back, look at different stuff. I have a story about this later. Not this site, but using Wayback Machine. Corporate social media accounts. I hate marketing. That's not a popular opinion. I don't like marketing. I don't like it when like They're like, the social media manager is like posting like, hey, look who just started the job at this company, and they have a picture of them. It's like, this is Bob. He has a wife and 3 kids, and they live in Riverton. It's like, why are you posting that on your public LinkedIn page? No one, why? Stop it. Like, I don't like that. It kind of freaks me out. I'm okay. It's like, hey, I got a new job at company, but it's when it's like, here's a picture, here's what they do, here's the stuff. I don't know. I don't like that. So there's that. There's, so LinkedIn. There's also like more person-based social medias like Instagram, Facebook that have corporate accounts there that people will follow. You know that malicious actors are going to be searching that. Anything about a company, they're going to be checking social. They're going to be looking at stuff. They're going to be trying to get like, did anyone post a picture of like their desktop or whatever? So, yeah. LinkedIn, there's these folks called Lions, LinkedIn Open Network. You request to join, hey, I want to connect with you, they'll automatically connect. And they're like, yeah, it's like they want to play Pokemon with LinkedIn people. They just want to catch them all. And then you can see people they're connected to and stuff, so you can kind of recon. So, yeah, search a company, say, hey, there's a lion at this company. Hey, I want to be your friend, I'm interested. And then you can see all the people at the company. Corporate hashtags, they're kind of fun. So there was a talk back in 2015 at B-Sides by Adam Steed, and I really liked it. But he talked about basically using LinkedIn to get all this information. This is kind of hard to see. Also, this is back from 2015, but it's like from job postings and LinkedIn profiles, you can see what kind of stuff they're doing. So this is a little bit hard to read because it's like, almost 10 years ago, but it's like, hey, Active Directory, Exchange 20. I love it when they list the exact version they're using, like Palo Alto this, Cisco this, in their LinkedIn bio. It's like, oh, I know exactly what exploits I need to try on that corporate network. Don't overshare. I hope there's a few good nuggets you can take, like some good one-liners you can take back. Anyway. Other things, domain tools. You can see who domains are registered. Sometimes if they don't register them through like a privacy, like a lot of domain registrars now will like hide who the registrar is, but sometimes it's still like, hey, this is registered by Bob. This is his home address. This is his phone number. And this is publicly available because domain information is publicly available. Domain tools, MX Toolbox is great. You can see stuff like MX Records, like, oh, they're using Office 365 here. Good to know how I need to craft my phishing emails. Or, oh, they're using Google Workspaces, G Suite, Google, whatever. So there's that kind of information. I mentioned corporate hashtags. Sometimes they'll do like internal things like, hey, we're trying to, make sure you use the, corporate hashtags are like when people went remote during COVID, during the pandemic, it's like, hey, we're all working at home, we're all in this together. Let's do some hashtag desk lunch. And they're taking pictures of that. So careful. I wouldn't participate in this, but it's like, hey, look at this. Here's the Wi-Fi password, SSID. And this one up here, I think it was, what was it, the launch codes or something in the Hawaii or something like that? Or, yeah, that's great. Also, don't take pictures of your corporate badges, because that's another thing that if they're going to get on-site, like pen testers or malicious actors, they're going to want to see your actual badge, make a copy of it so they look more legit. So, there you go. Have we beaten the don't overshare dead horse? Because we can keep beating it if you, okay. So this is a technology-based company here in Utah. The one on the top left looks pretty innocent, but it's like, okay, well, they obviously use Macs. That's interesting. What information can I glean from this? Can I zoom in on that notebook, and are they using an actual notebook, or did they make some demo prop sort of thing? And then on the other side, it's like, well, I can see what kind of IDE they're working on and different stuff like that. I probably shouldn't share this, but anyway, there you go. Wiggle. I have heard people call it Wiggle, but I like to say Wiggle. Wiggle.net. So this is interesting because you can download this, and basically you can war drive and map all these Wi-Fi networks all over the world. Think Wi-Fi Cactus, Wi-Fi Kraken, anything dark matter does. Uploading stuff to Wiggle. What's cool is this is one of the ones where you sign up for a free account and you can search. So I signed up and I searched for SAINTCON, and then I get all these little purple dots where someone was wiggling. That sounds dumb. Where someone was wiggling and picked up, oh, here's this SSID named SAINTCON. Sure enough, here we are at the Utah Valley Convention Center, and it picked up like 20 or so, and it goes off your phone GPS, and So when you see like people posting videos and they like open their network tray, it's like, okay, now I'm going to connect to my Wi-Fi, and it lists all the Wi-Fis listed. It's like, oh, I can wiggle the names of those Wi-Fis, and I can geolocate right where they are. Your creep meter should be going into the red about now. That's what I'm going for here. We said adventures. I should have said disadventures in OSINT. Corporate recon, okay. Doing okay on time. The harvester, this is a fun command line tool, works on Linux. Basically, you can put in the domain and say, hey, I want to search all these different sites for anything tied to that domain. And it's come a long way. You can actually get API keys and load that into the config file of harvester, and then it'll go through and search through all those different things. Zoom info, Dun & Bradstreet, I kind of talked about these. These are business directories. Dun & Bradstreet, that's kind of like where you're filling out an online form. It's like, what's your company name? You type in company.com. It's like, oh, and it auto-populates like, okay, located here, this is your address. It's like, oh yeah, that's the one. You click it and it auto-fills the rest. That convenience is because they're pulling from a corporate database of everyone's company information. That's creepy. Creep meter. We're all, yeah. Also, you can kind of use it as a reverse or a blind SQL query, which is kind of creepy. Okay, this is a little video. It might take a minute. I was just running this the other night. This is on a burner laptop I have. So I'm just hitting up utahsaint.org. So that's the organization behind SAINTCON. And you'll notice getting a few errors here. Back in the day, they only used to have like 5 search engines or places they would search. And now they have a whole bunch. It's going to go through, and it's basically just doing this automated, I think it's a Python script. It's going through a Python script, it's taking in the domain name, and it's going to be searching for anything that has that domain in it. What's nice is you can get URLs, IP addresses where they're originating from. You can get emails. So if you're doing corporate recon, you want to get, or if you're doing phishing, you're like, hey, let's get a phishing list. Let's see what people's emails are listed online. Google's gotten a little smart. Google's one of the ones on this, and you're going to see the error here in a minute. But Google will detect, it's probably the user agent, but it will detect if you're using the harvester. And it's like, hey, you're doing like 100 of searches really quick against this domain. We're going to kind of throttle you a little bit. Let me see if I can forward it a bit. Find it a little bit. Searching Google, 200 results. So yeah, Google is blocking your IP and the workaround. So we're going to try another way. So they built this logic into it, but Google's going to keep up on it, kind of a thing. So once you eventually get there, man. So hey, I'm not doxing them. These are people who are actually here. But here's some people who are listed on the website. Here's some IP addresses where Utah Saints hosted, and here's some utahsaint.org emails. They used to have these emails, but then they had to take them away because Utah Saint's a nonprofit. So some of these emails might work. I used to have a Utah Saint email, but it's gone now because they had to shut it off. And then some URLs and stuff. What's interesting is when you can use this, you can find like vpn.company.com. It's like, oh, they have a corporate VPN. I wonder if I should try to attack that so I can get internal access. Okay, rant over. All right, photos and videos. So the internet's a lot better since it got photos and videos. Back when it used to be all text-based HTML, it wasn't as fun to read and stuff, but now we have photos and videos. But with that, there's a lot of information that we put up there. EXIF data, interchangeable image file format. So this is basically metadata about files. You'll hear about it a lot with photos and videos, but any file can have EXIF data. There's a tool called EXIF tool, works on Linux. I believe it works on Windows. If not, there's one just like it. I guarantee it. And it's nice because you can get timestamps, when it was created, when it was formatted. So this is also great for forensics. If you're doing forensics, when was this file created? When was it modified? Oh, they time-stomped it because it's all zeroed out, kind of stuff. If it was taken with a phone that had location turned on, you can get geo-information data. So that's kind of creepy. So this is something I took back in 2020. We were doing a capture the flag, and the thing was on EXIF data. So I took a picture of my feet on the ground, and they said, where am I? And that was the flag, sort of a thing. So, once you get the GPS location, you can figure out where it is, kind of stuff. What's interesting that I've noticed is you can upload these full EXIF data files, like photos, to like your social media or whatever, and then it's uploaded. Hey, look at your new album, and then you download it again. It's gone. Like they removed the geolocation data, but if you search, it's like Provo, Utah, and these photos pop up. So it's like, hey, we're removing the EXIF data for your protection, but we're totally holding on to it so you can conveniently search it. Social media, it's the worst. Anger. Anyway, there are tools. You can like remove EXIF. Like I think I have an Android app called EXIF Pro. So like if I'm going to share a picture or whatever, like I never put my GPS stuff on unless I'm doing an example like this. I'll actually like put my photo into EXIF Pro and say remove all EXIF data, and then I'll share that one or text that one to whatever it might be. So kind of interesting. Photos and videos. So reverse image search. This is becoming more and more popular. There's more places you can do it. You can search by image. You can upload the image to Google, and it'll search similar images, or if it can find that exact image, it'll do checksums and look for the exact one, or it'll look for similar. There's other places that do it. And then, that wasn't creepy enough. Let's go creepy. Okay, PIMIs. This has been around for a bit. You now have to sign up for it. There is one that just came out called Face Check. I don't have any photos of that. The Cyber Mentor did a video about this. If you're not following the Cyber Mentor, check him out. Heath Adams. I love his content. It's on YouTube. He teaches courses. It's very good. Yeah. So, he said, creepiest OSINT tool ever. So, of course, I'm going to include it in my talk. It's an online facial recognition, open facial recognition search engine. Who wants to try it out? Yeah. Warning. This is creepy. If you weren't creeped out yet, we're going to get creepy now. So, here's a picture of me. Made sure I had some light behind me. I took this a few years ago. Made sure my, like a weird crooked smile, so, because you know how they do like landmarks on your face to map your face and everything. Let's see if they can find a picture of me with my weird, distorted, horribly bearded face and dorky hair. Oh, sure enough it did. Look at this. So that's my LinkedIn profile pic, and it's pixely on purpose, and they put a bit more pixels around it. So I was trying to look like a scary, intimidated security professional. I don't know if it worked. This is from a photo shoot, a family photos we had 12 years ago, and that's on the photographer's website. So I'm like, oh, that's great. Dang, and I tried to distort my face and everything. It still found me. I'm not the guy in the middle, and I'm definitely not that hunk on the bottom right. Searching a little deeper, found a bit more. Max, that guy on the bottom center looks like you. Yeah. So going a bit deeper, it found me. This was a DEF CON talk that I gave. The past 2 years, they had the option to pre-record DEF CON talks, and then afterwards you hop onto Discord and they live stream you for the Q&A. So I was doing this and I was talking, and sure enough, they found me. And what's creepier is this is on some Russian website. Great, my face is on a Russian website. This sucks. So, is anyone not creeped out yet? I'm trying to creep people out. Use OSINT for good? I don't, okay. Videos, you can do some stuff with videos. Again, close-up of OSINT framework under the videos tabs, but these are different places you can look where people have uploaded videos. A lot of times you have these bigger video sites that'll take them down if they're like offensive, don't meet our community guidelines, things like that, but there's lots of stuff. All right, skitty time. There are tools. ReconNG, this is a great one. This is definitely geared, it's open source, it's made by Black Hills Information Security. If you're not following them or on their Discord server, I really suggest you check it out. They put out good content, they have really good webinars. They also do pay what you want online courses, which are really great, mostly open source, almost always open source. Black Hills InfoSec. It's John Strand and those folk. I really like it. Anyway, similar thing, it's ReconNG. You get your API keys from these different search sites, you load them in, and then you can start searching. And as you search, it'll keep a record of things that you find. So it'll kind of build out the report for you. Because a lot of times when you're doing OSINT, you'll find the stuff and maybe take screenshots or whatever, but then like if you want to go back and do it, you got to rerun the search or whatever. ReconNG is great because it builds out that report for you. This is just a little demo. I think I just started it up and loaded some plugins or something like that. if I remember correctly. But yeah, blackhillsinfosec.com, there you go. And yeah, so these are all the different, like mass scan, Nmap, census, whoisdata, GitHub, Shodan. So these are all the different plugins they have built into it. So if you plug in your API keys and you start doing your recon, recon NG will help build that stuff out. So, and then you can, go from there. And that's not, move. Okay. I mentioned that you can use OSINT to save lives. I'm not kidding, you actually can. So there's some organizations out there, but one of them is Trace Labs. They have free CTFs that they do periodically throughout the year. They did it at DEF CON this year. So basically, you use OSINT. They crowdsource things to find missing persons, like real live, hopefully live, real people who are missing, and they crowdsource it like, hey, hackers, use your OSINT skills to help us find this. So my team at DEF CON this year, we actually got to participate in this, and it was really cool. It was kind of a slog. Like, we only had 4 hours to do it, but basically they gave us the FBI missing poster. It's like, missing this girl, age this, last seen wearing this, last seen at this location, any information you can have. And that's all you have. So you start going through social media. You start, looking for known associates. Maybe she was at this party or whatever. Were there other people at the party? Did they post pictures of it? Is there EXIF data from those photos? And the way it's a CTF is like, hey, if you find family member profile, 10 points. If you find this, whatever points. If you find results on the dark web for this person, it's like 100 points. So we were searching for real people who were actually missing, and all we had was the FBI missing poster. It was really cool. And I think I'm okay at OSINT, but oh man, there were teams that won. It was insane. And what's nice is they take all this data from these CTFs and they build a professional build package or whatever, information dossier, and they give it to law enforcement. Here's all the information you need. Probably don't have the resources to get. Here, go find this person. Really cool. Trace Labs, check it out. And they do it throughout the year. It's not always at conferences. A lot of times it's online CTFs. Really cool stuff. Oh, I did want to mention, they have their own Kali VM that's OSINT oriented. There's some other VMs like Buscador and stuff that are OSINT specific virtual machines, but Trace Labs has one, and that's the one we used, and I liked it. Decreasing OSINT effectiveness. So, reason I was creepy is because I am. I'm just kidding. It's so you can think about, how can I be less findable? I don't want people finding out certain things about me, privacy enthusiasts, whatever. So don't overshare. If you don't need social media, get rid of it. A lot of times you can request your data. So I got rid of Facebook a while back and never had an Instagram and different things like that. But what you can do is you can actually request your data and see all the information they have on you, because legally they have to, and it can be a big download. So let's say you're ready to get off of this social media platform that you have, but you have all these family photos on it. You can download all of those, save them, somewhere securely, external hard drive, something like that, and then you can delete your account. And then, or you can delete the photos and then delete your account. It's something you could do. Make sure your stuff's locked down. GDPR-related things, you could also, if you qualify, based in UK or the CCPA, if you're in California, you can say, hey, delete my account, the right to be forgotten. And more states in the United States are actually applying that same principle. I want you to remove my stuff because I know you're selling it to third-party people, and that's creepy, and stop it. So you can also go through the different data broker sites and say, hey, delete my information. I don't want it. I'll have some links at the end that talks about that. Just kidding. I'll have some links right now that talk about that. So I can't talk enough good about inteltechniques.com. Michael Basil runs this website, he and his team. And he also has a podcast called the Security, Privacy, and OSINT podcast. Every week they have an episode. If you want to go extreme private, this is your guy. So he has two main books. One is on extreme privacy, and this covers everything. I have a copy of it, and it's 600 pages. It's how to, it's not get off the grid and be a hermit. It's live a normal life, but, how to have your house in a trust, how to purchase vehicles through an LLC so it's not tied to your name, how to do this. And it's not I'm doing it because I want to commit crime or anything. It's I don't want people finding this public information about me because it's my information and I don't have to share it. It is some work, but yeah. Anyway, the 3 links up there, data request guide, number 3, data removal guide. These are free. If you pay for this, you're stupid. There's services that you can sign up for, and they'll go through and remove you from these people search websites and everything, but it is free. You can do it yourself. So PDF, HTML format, it's great. So, and there's a few. You can see like, have I been pwned? That's how you can opt out of it so your emails don't show up anymore and breach data. Because bad actors, first thing they're going to do, like, they're going to try to get emails that possibly might work for you. And, oh, here's their breach data. So, all right. I said adventures in OSINT. We've got a few more minutes, so I'm going to tell some stories. I have 3 stories for you. And so, first one. My wife and I got cell phones. This is several years ago. And, we were married. We wanted to get a cell phone plan with both of us on it. So we got new cell phone numbers. Immediately, my wife starts getting calls from debt collectors. Now, we weren't in debt. Well, okay, we didn't have debt collectors coming after us. We were young, married, still in school. But she started getting daily calls from debt collectors, and it was always different. Sometimes it was like a paralegal at a law office. Sometimes it was this, and they're like, hey, like, you're like, hello, Michelle, whatever. Like, I don't even know the person's name anymore. Like, you owe money. Is like, oh, we just got this. Like, yeah, sure you did. Yeah, new number. We've heard this. Like, no, we legit have. So, kind of annoying. We had the former owner's name, and we obviously had the former person's phone number. So, we have a name and a phone number. Let's start doing some OSINT and find out who this is. Because they kept calling. We're like, hey, it's not us. She must have changed her cell phone because we just bought this. They kept at it because it's the only number they have to call. So they kept coming after, they kept calling. So I found the person. I started looking on LinkedIn, social media. She had her Facebook wide open. So I had her name. It's like, okay, that's a picture of her. Lives in the same geographic area. The phone number was a Logan, Utah phone number. Said, okay, she's from Logan. She's moved to Salt Lake now or whatever. Okay. And they kept calling back. And so we started doing some OSINT, found her LinkedIn profile. And yep, it was the same picture. Pretty high confidence it's the same person. So then, you call up the company, like, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of Michelle, whatever. Like, oh yeah, let me patch you through, or whatever. Or, you can do some social engineering. It's like, hey, I just got disconnected from so-and-so, and her job title, whatever, customer service. Hey, do you have her extension? It's like, we got disconnected. Oh yeah, sure, here it is. So then you take this information and you dox her. Just kidding, you don't dox her. You take this information, and you're like, oh, she works here now. This is her actual phone number. And next time I get called by a debt collector, I'm going to say, hey, this is my number now. I think you're trying to get a hold of this person. She works here now, and this is her address, or this is her phone number you can call her at. Like, oh, great, that would be really helpful. It's like, you're welcome. Stop calling me. OSINT for good. Yeah. So, gave all the information to the debt collector, and yeah. So even if you don't think you need OSINT skills, it comes in handy at times. So a couple tools that I used, this is back when they were free, but I used People and Spokio to kind of track down, addresses. Okay, she lives there, she used to live here, that lines up. Doing some phone number, caller ID lookup. LinkedIn, try to find out some business profile information, This is creepy. You can use this for, I'm not giving you permission. This can be used for evil. Don't use it for evil. Harvester, I was trying to get some email, because sometimes I might not get her email from doing something like Harvester, but I can see the email format. It's like, oh, it's first-last@company. Gee, I wonder what hers would be. That kind of stuff. Okay, furniture woman story. I'm going to try to keep this vague. My wife and I, she really wanted this ottoman. There was this furniture store, and you have to pay up front. Showroom, pay up front. 3 months later, they give you a thing. You get to pick the fabric and all that stuff. Okay, cool. You wanted to get furniture. So we did it, and then we had COVID happened, and they're like, okay, we had some delay, supply chain, I get it. 3 more months, you should get it. 9 months later, we called them up, like once a week, like, hey, any updates? Like, oh, any day now it's coming. We're like, this is sus. 13 months go by, and we're like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, we want our money back, and the phone stopped working. So we drive to the warehouse, or the showroom. It's boarded up. We go to the website, it's gone. And we're like, not cool. Why? Like, I feel sad their business went under, but could they have been more transparent instead of like leading them on kind of a thing? So we were kind of upset. And then I see it on the news. I should have formatted this so it was better to see. Okay, anyway, investigative journalism is like, hey, a bunch of people put like, over $100,000 in like, from different customers, not that much, but like grand total of this custom furniture place. And it's like, come on. It's like, we searched online, we tried to contact them, we can't find them anywhere. Their names aren't listed anywhere on their website, kind of a thing. It was really frustrating. Store unavailable kind of stuff. The Better Business Bureau had no luck tracking them down. So the official body organization trying to track this down couldn't even find them. So I was wronged, so I started doing some OSINT. So I went to the website, went to the web archive, the Internet Archive, and I went back in time. It's kind of cool. But it's like, hey, look at this contact us page. It lists her name, and it lists the phone numbers. Okay, so now I have a name and a phone number. I can start looking that up. I know the phone number doesn't work anymore, but now I can track that. Dun & Bradstreet, I can look up their company information. Because even if the company goes under, these business data collectors are still going to keep it. Started doing some Google dorking. I found blog posts. I found YouTube videos where they were interviewing this person. So I was like, okay, kind of tracking them down. Family Tree Now. This is a great and horrible website, but you can find people's actual addresses and associates and phone numbers. I don't know how long it's going to be free. But anyway, there you go. So, tracked them down. Okay, and I've blurred it out. So I found a more current thing. I went through Dun & Bradstreet, went that. Family Tree Now, got her first and last name, and then I went into DNS records. Now, the domain was anonymously registered. It wasn't anonymously registered in 2016. It was tied to her dad, her business partner, and he still lived at his address. And from there, I could find where she lived. And it's like, okay, she lives there. And I found cached data about her thing. And it's like, okay, come on. So what do I do? On the website, it said, hey, if you have this and your receipts and everything, file a formal complaint with the Utah Commission of blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, here's my receipt. We paid this. We never got it. Oh, hey, here's all this information, too, that the Better Business Bureau couldn't find. If this helps you, get people's money back, here's where she lives. I'm not doxing to, this is all hypothetical, right? This is all hypothetical. Anyway, I'm not doxing, but I'm trying to help them out. This is like the crowdsourcing law. Don't judge. Gosh, so judgy. Okay, my last story. I was in a car accident on I-15 back in June 2021. It kind of sucked. I was rear-ended on I-15. It was rush hour. It was like, everyone is going home. So we were all, lots of cars. We were going like 30, 40 miles an hour in stop-and-go traffic. And so I came into a lane. By the way, if you're an incident responder and then you fill out a police report, it's really detailed. And you write it like an incident, because it is. So I was like, here's the diagram. Here I was. I moved over here. I came up to the next car. We slowed down. And we were all going like 30 miles an hour. And then we came to like 5 miles an hour. This big Ford F-350 with a flatbed truck. He was going 60. And I saw him in my rear view. I was like, shoot, I can't move. And I couldn't go to either side or anything. I hear him slam on his brakes. And 2 whole seconds, you know how everything slows down? 2 whole seconds, I could hear the tires skidding before he rear-ended me. It's like, I was really upset about it. But, we weren't hurt. It was just me in the car. It was just him in the car. And not wearing glasses, I found out later. So here's the official report. Filled it out. Here's his stuff. And, I blurred things out and everything. Where did it happen? Now, this is dumb because I gave my insurance information and everything. And I knew where the guy lived. He listed his, information. But it was a work truck. It was a construction truck. Insurance appears valid. If only there was a way you could access the internet remotely from a mobile device and do a quick check if it was valid. No, yeah, it looks good. What's the insurance company? Commercial. Has anyone heard of commercial insurance? P.S. It doesn't exist. Made up insurance, totally fake. So I wasn't at fault. He wasn't cited, but he did rear-end me. I was at a stop on the freeway like everyone else except him. So I was like, shoot, okay. So I call up my insurance, we can't do anything. Well, what's his insurance number? It's this, that's not a real thing. That's totally made up. It's like, serious? So what do? You do some OSINT. So FYI, it takes 10 business days before you can get the official crash report, before you can do anything, unless they cite them at the site, and then give them a citation. Then you can start. So, invalid company, that was a blocker. Couldn't drive my car. I can't get it fixed unless I decide to pay for it out of pocket or file an insurance claim. I pay my deductible, and eventually try to get the money from that insurance and eventually get that back to me. Not happy about this. By the way, we were about to leave the country as a family. We were going to house swap with some people, and they were going to use that car. I mean, we had a minivan as well, but it's like, shoot, this is not cool. I'm kind of mad about this, so we're going to OSINT. So I confirmed his address, made sure the address on the report actually matched up to him. Not like his driver's license was an old address or something. Okay, and then started researching insurance policy numbers. So this is hard, but some of the format, different insurance companies have different format. I think it was State Auto or something, and I was trying to figure it out. So I'm doing my SAINTCON, I'm trying to find JPEGs or PDFs of like policy numbers, and I started doing some research on this construction company. It's a national chain, and one of the great places you can find out information is like job postings. You can go through the contact us page, different stuff like that. So the rest of this story is totally hypothetical. So I looked up the career page, national change. They needed a commercial roofer in the Salt Lake area. Through college, I was a commercial roofer, so that's how I paid tuition. And so I used MySudo. If you don't use MySudo, check it out. Emails, actual phone numbers is great. And I have a burner LinkedIn account for OSINT reasons. So I applied for the job and I interviewed. And I could talk because I had done roofing for 3 years every summer in St. George. If you want to get an air-conditioned job, you should be a roofer during the summer in St. George. Then you'll want to work in an air-conditioned room. Anyway, rant. And then, HR benefit and questions and stuff like that. So here's my hypothetical story. Hey, roofing and stuff. We had a phone interview. We talked about all sorts of commercial roofing, membrane roofing, the wind speed the wind rating for the different plates and screw down to the deck and all that stuff, welding, Sarnafill, Sarnaclad, all that stuff, G410, things you don't care about, but I actually know. Anyway, yeah, that's cool, nice. Hey, you want the job? He's like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, sounds great. Hey, I do have some questions. I have a kid. We have certain medical coverage. He gets a certain treatment. And then you start asking very specific medical questions for their insurance plan. Does it cover such and such and such and such, and billing codes this? The hiring manager is not going to know that. It's like, let me have you talk to the HR girl. It's like, yep, HR girl, 2021, okay, yep. So it's like, cool, let's talk to HR. Hello, HR person. It's like, hey, I had a question about benefits and coverage and stuff. So I was pretty honest, like, hey, I'm Colin, I'm based out of Salt Lake, still true. And, hey, do you guys cover the insurance information, or do you only do the HR personnel stuff? It's like, oh, we only do that. It's like, oh, so who's the fleet manager? I think the card in the work trucks are out of date. Notice I didn't lie once. It's like, oh, yeah, you need to talk to the fleet manager. Okay, cool. Let's talk to the fleet manager. So the fleet manager picks up. He's like, hello. He's like, hey, how y'all doing? This is Colin based out of Salt Lake. Hey, are we still with State Auto? He's like, what? The insurance card in my work truck is for State Auto? He's like, State Auto? No, we switched 2 years ago to such and such insurance. Like, are you kidding me? So you're telling me this one, State Auto, BAP policy number, blah, blah, blah. No, we're with this. No, our group number is this now. It's like, oh, man. Do I got to talk to our front desk girl and figure this out? Yeah, talk to your front desk. Okay, I'll talk to Tina, and she'll just get new cards, and we'll put them in our trucks. It's like, yeah, okay. Okay, I'll talk to the front desk girl and get it all figured out. Hey, thank you so much. So that was such and such insurance, and it was this insurance number? It's like, yeah, okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And then you call up their insurance, and you're like, hey, I'm so-and-so. One of your trucks hit me. Here's the, I'd like to start a claim. Like, okay, we'll get a claim number, but we're not doing anything until we get the official report or whatever. I'm like, okay. So 10 business days came by. I paid the $10 to get the official PDF report. Called him back up. I was like, hey, have you requested that report from the Highway Patrol yet? I'm like, no. I was like, well, I have a copy of it. It's a PDF, so I can't change it or anything. We know better, but I didn't change it. I didn't change it. That's insurance fraud. But I was like, it's a PDF. I'll send it to you right now. I can wait on the phone. Like, okay. So they're on it or whatever. I file the insurance claim. I send it to them like, hold please. 5 minutes later, they come back and they're like, Okay, so it says here that he was driving too fast for conditions and following too close. So we accept liability. We will start the process or whatever. Cool. I'm going to drop my car off at this repair shop. Like, yep, that's totally fine. We looked them up there. That's totally fine with us. And like, great. And then I fled the country, went on vacation. So I dropped off the car, and then, yeah, and that's why I used OSINT for good. So, I'm not saying this to brag, but like, what you want to be able to have these skills, especially when someone gets wrong. Like, what if a loved one or someone identity theft happens, and you have a username or something like that? Everyone should know some of these OSINT skills to help other people. Like, I'm not doing it to get a free car repair because he was at fault. He used false information and wronging my family, or different stuff like that. Oh, hypothetically, of course. But yeah. Does anyone have any questions? We've got 3 minutes or so, but yes. So the question was, are the charts going to be available? This will be recorded. I can post this somewhere and stick it on the SAINTCON Discord. I'll do that. I'll go through and post the slides on that. So, yeah. Other questions, comments, heckles? Clear in the back. That's a Yeah, what courses? So there's a couple. There's several out there. There's like online learning platforms like Pluralsight or less cool ones like Udemy or whatever. Cyber Mentor. They have OSINT courses. There's a bunch online like YouTube. Intel Techniques is awesome. Check out their podcast. They have a whole book on OSINT. And what's nice is if you buy the book, you get lifetime access to their OSINT tools, and they keep it updated. They give you a username and password when you purchase the book. It's a hard copy book. They don't do PDFs. From Intel Techniques, I can't recommend them good enough. So yeah, there's some courses like that. There's information out there. And then like OSINT yourself. OSINT your own company and kind of learn some of these things. It's fun. So yeah. Just some notes I put, countermeasures, make sure you're registering your domains anonymously. Use a password manager, because sometimes they'll pull breach data and stuff. OSINT your own company and report it. Like, hey, I did this file type PDF, confidential internal only. I found it on Google. Can you take that down and give me some free swag for the, I don't know. It's worth whatever lock down your social media or delete it if you don't need it. So that's my talk. Anyone else have any questions? Are we good? Good? It's Friday. Let's go.